So today's warm-up is like yesterday's notes, 45, 45, 90 triangle. As you can see here, we have a right triangle and two sides are the same. What do we call it when two sides are the same? Isosceles. So we said yesterday, if it's isosceles and right, then two equal sides means two equal angles. So it would have to be a 45, 45, 90. Now this is the harder type of problem we learned yesterday. The 2 is across from what angle? 90. So on this grid, I'm going to put it down here on the 90 grid, on the bottom, put a 2, okay? So if you put it on the 45s, you want to think about where it is, okay? Now, in this case, we're trying to figure out what x is, and we know x squared of 2 equals 2. So I'm going to rewrite that and try to solve that for x. Yesterday we learned how to do this. If I have x times the square root of 2, how do I get rid of that square root of 2? Anytime you're multiplying by a number, to get rid of it, you divide. So I'm going to divide by square root of 2 to get rid of it here. And I do it on this side. I'm going to do it on this side. Okay? So now I have x equals 2 over square root of 2. Can I have a square root on the bottom? No. Goodness. Okay, so to get rid of the square root, I multiply by the same square root on the bottom and the top. Now, on top, 2 times the square root of 2 is a number and a square root. Just put them right next to each other. 2 square root of 2. And on bottom, a square root times itself is just that number. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is just 2. Then you want to think, can I reduce this? Okay, well, the 2 over 2 actually cancels out, and I'm left with square root of 2. So check it out. X equals square root of 2. Okay. All right. Now, that means on my grid, these two blanks are x. So it's just going to be square root of 2 and square root of 2. That's it. Now, if you didn't finish your assignment yesterday, this is literally number 5, so there's a freebie, number 5 on your assignment yesterday. You want to turn that in as soon as you can, but today we got to move on to the next notes after we turn in these warm-ups. So everybody, turn in this week's warm-ups. Make sure your name is on it. Please make sure your name is on it. Okay? You can pass them up. And you can have a row leader turn them in to my turn-in bin. That'd be great. Okay. So now what we're going to do is 30, 60, 90 notes. And they look like, here, they look like this. Okay. If you don't already have this paper, it'll be on the side table. You can get someone to pass them out. All right. Okay, so let's talk about it. Yesterday we did 45, 45, 90, and today we're doing a different special right triangle. It's called a 30, 60, 90. Guess what the three angles are? 30, 60, and 90. By the way, same thing we do every time we do notes. I do need headphones out. Please, please, please. Please. Because we got brand new stuff, so everyone's paying attention 100%, right? All right, so here we go. 30, 60, 90 triangle. can be formed by an equilateral triangle. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. An equilateral triangle. So an equilateral triangle, all the sides are the same, right? And every angle is going to be how many degrees? What's each angle if it adds up to 180? 60, right? So this top angle is 60, the bottom two angles are 60. Now, this isn't 30, 60, 90 right here, right? Because it's 60, 60, 60. But here's what you're going to have to do. To get a 30, 60, 90, you're going to take that equilateral and cut it straight in half down the middle. Okay? So what's half of 60 up here? Hey, there's my 30, right? And then down here, this makes 90. So I'll do this in blue. Does everyone see we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle on the left side here? So half of a equilateral is 30, 60, 90. Just a reminder about the headphones, right? Please. So let's fill in these blanks. The hypotenuse is 2 times as long. And then the longer leg is square root of 3 times as long as the shorter leg. Now, going back in time, we have these rules down here for a special right triangle. For a 30, 60, 90, here are my rules. X, x square root of 3, 2x. Now, you saw this grid thing yesterday for 45, 45, 90. So let's talk about 30, 60, 90. We always put our angles on the left, and then we put our rules in the middle. So I'm going to put those 3 rules we just talked about. X, x squared of 3, and 2x. That's the grid we're going to be using for 30, 60, 90 triangles, okay? Make sure you have that written down because I'm about to move it down to number 1, okay? Write it down. All right, about to move it down to number 1. Number 1 is like the easiest problem, so let's start with the easy one. I have my grid here already. Let's put in these rules. X, x squared of 3, 2x. And now let's look at our example here. The only side I'm given is 5, and what's 5 across from? 30, right? So over here, on the 30, I'm going to put 5. So that means x equals 5. Cool. So if x equals 5, what about x squared of 3? Well, I can just replace x with what number? 5. So it would be 5 squared of 3. So 5 squared of 3. Now for 2x, y'all know that means just 2 times x. You're just doubling the number, right? So for 2x, it's 2 times what number? 5. What's 2 times 5? Okay, 10. So here's what I want you to see. If you know the smallest side across from 30, the biggest side is just double that, times 2. So you can see that on the top I had 5, the very bottom I had 10. It just doubles it, okay? And the middle one, the across from 60 side, takes the smallest side and just adds a little square root of 3 next to it. So I want you to see this pattern here. Now real quick, on my original triangle I had a 30 and a 90, so this one is 60, right? X is across from 60, right? So x is going to be 5 squared of 3. Y is across from 90, so y is going to be 10. Once you have your grid filled out, you just got to match them up. X is which one, y is which one, okay? Could you do some problems like that? No. You mean yes. All right, try number 2. I heard you. On number 2, Same idea. Let's make our grid. 30, 60, 90. And let's use our rules. X square root of 3, 2x. Yeah, the grid will always start with that. And I'll give you that as notes to always use when we do these. The very right side is what we're going to fill in. Now, 22 is across from which angle? 90, right? So 22 is across from 90. Now, by the way, these notes are just 4 examples. And for your assignment today, I'm giving you 4 examples. 1 of each. Okay, we're going to keep this simple so we can move on Tuesday. By the way, 3-day weekend coming up, right? All right. So, 22 is across from 90, so down at the bottom next to 90, put 22. Cool. Now, that means 2x equals 22. Let's write that. 2x equals 22. How would I solve that? How do I get rid of the 2? Divide. Yeah. So what's 22 divided by 2? 11. So now I know x equals 11. So that top blank, x equals, is going to be 11. That way. There we go. That way. Now, for the middle one, if x is 11, then x squared of 3 is going to be 11 square root of 3. So, there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, now, x is across from 30, so that's going to be 11. Y is across from 60, so that's going to be 11 square root of 3. It's important that you put the number in the right place, solve for x, and use that to find the other missing sides, right? So let's flip it over. Now, 2 more examples to do, so as long as you can stay focused. We're on the back side now. Now, this is the hardest one. I'll be honest with you. Number 3. So everyone's focused. Big time, okay? So, on number 3, I see a 60 and a 90 and a 30. That's a 30, 60, 90. Let's make our grid. 30, 60, 90. X squared root of 3, 2x. Okay, so make sure you have that grid written down. Now, let's be careful on this one. The only side I'm given is 15. 15 is across from 6. So where does it go? Top, middle, or bottom? 60 is in the middle, so put 15 right here. Now, this one reminds me of the warm-up, because we have a square root thing that we need to get rid of. So x squared of 3 equals 15. I'm going to bring that down here. X squared of 3 equals 15. And we need to solve that. So again, kind of like the warm-up. How do I get rid of a square root of 3 next to this x? Just like the warm-up, we have to divide to get rid of it. So divide square root of 3, divide square root of 3. On the left, cancels out. So now I have x equals 15 over square root of 3. How do I get rid of the square root of 3 on the bottom? To get rid of the square root sign, we multiply by the same square root. So times square root of 3 times square root of 3. Always on bottom and top. Now on the top, when I have a regular number times a square root, we put them right next to each other, right?
Yes, sir.
That way. So 15 times square root of 3 is 15 square root of 3. And then the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is what? 3. It is 3. We would be done if we couldn't reduce it. But check it out. 15 over 3 equals what? So this actually reduces to 5 square root of 3. I know that's some more steps, but you got to be able to do it. So x equals 5 square root sine 3. Now, if I know that's what x equals, then up here at 30, that's what x equals. 5 square root 3. All right, now for 90, 2x means 2 times whatever x is, which is 5 square root of 3. Now you tell me, what is 2 times 5 square root of 3? 2 times 5 square root of 3. 10 square root 3, okay? The square root doesn't get multiplied unless you're multiplying by another square root. So yeah, just the coefficient will be multiplied. 2 times 5 is 10. Square root of 3 is still the square root of 3. Okay? When you get to the assignment, you're going to have one like that. So again, if you can just follow these steps, you'll be all right. So x is across from 30, so that's going to be 5 square root of 3. Y is across from 90, that's going to be 10 square root of 3. Okay, one more. This one's like not too bad. Moving it down. Anyone still need this? Real quick. Moving it down. Number 4. I got a 30 and a 90, so here's my 60. Make my grid 30, 60, 90. X square root of 3, 2x. So make sure you got that grid. And then the only side I have is across from 60. So 5 square root of 3 will be in the middle. Now some of y'all can just see it here, but what do you think x is going to equal? So x is just in front of the square root of 3. So what's in front of the square root of 3? Just 5. But either way, this is an equation. Let's bring it down and solve it. X square root of 3 equals 5 square root of 3. And how do I get rid of the square root of 3? Divide. So when you divide it on both sides, it cancels out on both sides. And you just have x equals 5. So when you have the side across from 60, and it has a square root of 3 already, the number in front is your x value. So if x is 5, then up here, x equals 5. And then 2x is 2 times 5, which is 10. Last class, someone said, Mr. G, this one's just like number 1. It's not exactly like number 1 because we started from a different side, okay? But you do get the same answer. It matters where you start from, though. They did, though. So, x is across from 30, 5, and y is across from 90, 10. Okay, now that's it for the notes. Now, the assignment, if you don't already have it, it's going to be on my side table, and you need to get that. It says practice 30, 60, 90 triangles. And just like yesterday, I'm going to show you which examples are like which examples from the notes. So, check it out. When you get to the assignment, there's only 4 problems, and they're just like the 4 problems from the notes. Number 1 is like example 4 from the notes. Number 2 is like example 3 from the notes. Number 3 is like example 1 from the notes. And number 4 is like example 2 from the notes. If you don't have the assignment or the notes or whatever, they were all on the side table, you need to get started on this today. I want you to finish this today. Just do 4 examples of the 4 we just did. Okay? Now, if you didn't finish yesterday's or today's assignment, you got this cool 3-day weekend to get it done because on Tuesday, we're moving on. It's a 1-day deal. Let's get that done, finish yesterday and today's assignment, and turn them in, please.